Our second reading is Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, at the time when Herod was king, some wise and learned men came to Jerusalem from the east. "Where is the one," they asked, "who has been born King of the Jews? We have seen his star rising in the east, and we have come to worship him." When Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and the whole of Jerusalem as well. He called together his chief priests and scribes of the people, and inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem of Judea," they replied. "That's what the prophet says. You, Bethlehem in Judah's land, are not the least of Judah's princes. From out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." When Herod heard the wise men called them in secret, he found out from them precisely when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem. "Off you go," he said, "and make a thorough search for the child. And when you find him, report back to me, so that I may come and worship him too." When they heard what the king said, they set off. There was the star, the one they had seen rising in the east, going ahead of them. And it went and stood still over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were beside themselves with joy and excitement. And they went into the house and saw the child with his Mary's mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. They then opened their treasure chests and gave him presents, gold and frankincense and myrrh. They were warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, so they returned to their own country by a different route. Amen, and may God bless to us these readings of God's holy word. When I was wee, the church nativity plays, I would usually be a shepherd or a wise man. It suited me, or a king as we used to call them. There was one particular year that I remember vividly because the script that the church were using, an angel was effectively the narrator of the play, and I was regarded as the person who could, had the loud, clear voice, was very good at remembering lines, so was ideal for that role. But it was an angel. My mum actually killed herself laughing when I told her that I was going to be an angel. Really, really laughed. Thanks, Mum. But she was right. I'm no angel. Even now, I am definitely no angel. And I did it. Apparently I was alright at it, but I kind of resented it. The tinsel in my hair, wearing a white dress. No. So fortunately, in future years, I was back to being a king or a shepherd, much to my relief. But we called them kings, even sang "We Three Kings" when they visited Herod and his palace, when they went to the stable. And in some ways, I suppose there was the perception that because they were kings, they were a more important role than the role of the shepherds. But each character in the Bible story of the Nativity have an important role, and each play their part. You've got Mary, who is the most important role, controversially, because she accepts God's call to bear God's Son for the world, with all the implications that has. You have Joseph, who trusts in God, that when he's reassured that Mary hasn't lied to him, still stands alongside her. And as far as he's concerned, Jesus is his son. You've got the shepherds who risked their livelihood by, once they'd heard from this angel the good news that the Messiah had arrived, abandoned the sheep that they were supposed to be protecting from wolves and bears and thieves. And if any of those sheep had been stolen or maimed because they'd abandoned them, they would have got their jotters. They did that and ran down to Bethlehem to see this wonderful thing that God had told them through the angels. And then when they went back home, they kept telling everyone what they'd heard and seen. And then the wise men, the magi, the kings, they followed a star seeking the King of the Jews. They went first to Herod because they were high officials, and you went to the high officials in the land. And then they found Jesus and offered their gifts. And again they trusted a dream not to go back to Herod and went home a different way. But each, Mary and Joseph and the shepherds, and even maybe the person who gave Mary and Joseph some place to stay, had their own story of what God had done through bringing his son into the world to tell. They told everyone they met the story where realistically no one was more important than anyone else, and where the message of God's incarnation, him coming to us as the flesh and blood of a baby born of Mary, was the most important thing for everyone to know. Because that incarnation, that God coming to us in Jesus, is God's love in the world, where no one is more important and everybody has a part, where everyone has a gift that God gives them for everybody else in the world. Everyone has their story of Christmas to tell, the real Christmas. So tell it and share it, and most of all, live it. Amen.